Good afternoon. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It's Thursday, February 5th, 2026, about 2:15 in the afternoon, and we are continuing with the FY27 budget, and we're delighted to have the folks from the Secretary of State's office, who I imagine have been a little bit busy. So it's great to see you, and if you've met all of us, so if you want to introduce yourselves and take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Sarah Copeland-Hansis, your Secretary of State.
And I'm Lauren Hibbert, your Deputy Secretary of State. Thank you so much for having us.
And I see that you all have a handy dandy paper copy to follow along with our testimony. So we will dive right in. The first slide has a rundown of the major divisions and duties of our office. But very important for us to point out that our office is focused across divisions on promoting the public trust, enabling good governance, and protecting the public.
I'll start us off on Business Services Division. This is our division that funds one whole half of our office. So when we talk about funding structure, all the fees and renewals come into that fund. What we do there is all filings related to all businesses, all business types in the state of Vermont. So that's UCC, limited liability, nonprofits, any business. We register, renew, and if there's any related requiring filings, we receive those filings. In fiscal year 2025, this is a 6-person division. We processed 130,000 total filings. Good news is there's almost 15,000 new business formations. That's a very strong number for Vermont. And we received in 1 year. Yeah, it's a great indication of the health of Vermont. We received over 68,000 business reports and over 16,000 UCC filings. Our total revenue in FY25 was $11.2 million. Our next, we're going in alphabetical order. Our next division.
Oh, I thought it was our favorite division first.
Well, Business Services is our favorite division. No.
Your highest revenue generating division.
They do get the prize for that.
They do, by a lot. Our Elections and Campaign Finance division oversees, obviously, state, federal elections in collaboration with local election officials. We also oversee lobbyist disclosure laws. We promote voter registration and participation, and we provide significant support to local election officials in local elections. Our next division is the Office of Professional Regulation.
The Office of Professional Regulation protects the public through the effective regulation of 53 different profession types and over 80,000 licensees across the state. Some highlights of 2025 were 853 complaints that were received. We executed 262 inspections of regulated facilities, including pharmacies and funeral homes. We do a lot of work throughout the year to ensure that our licensing standards are current and that we are promoting safe and effective practice. We also focus on reducing barriers so that people can more seamlessly get from their training to their profession. And we are focused right now in particular on streamlining the mental health professions. This has been an ongoing multi-year project of bringing a little bit of regularity to all of the various different mental health professions to make it clearer for people who are entering the professions and also to make the work of regulating those professions smoother for our office. The next section is our civics.
Before you get to the civics,
Yes.
just ask, of the 853 complaints, were there certain areas that were predominant? Or was it across every profession equally?
You know, I think you have to look at the number of licensees in a particular profession. And I think the nursing professions tend to be our highest volume of complaints. But we get complaints, you know, from most regarding most professions. But certainly, nurses and some of the mental health professionals, tend to be pretty high volume.
If you are asking on a per capita, like per licensee, our highest are massage and home contractors, like per number of.
I was wondering about the contractors because we heard from the Attorney General's office that they get, all these complaints relating to contractors seem to be one of their top ones.
This is going to be an ongoing conversation between our office and the policy committees because the structure that we have in residential contractors really isn't working. It's not working for the homeowners. It's not working as well as we'd like it to for the professions. So yeah, we'll be continuing to work on this. Yes.
Is it not working because it's not right, or is it because you're not getting the responses from the people you're expecting to register?
Yes, and yes. Yes.
Or moving to licensure?
No, well, we don't think that we should move to licensure at this time, but we are not having an uptick, meaning we're under enrolled. We really strongly believe that more people should be registering with our office. And then whether or not we move to licensure or not, I think is a long-term policy conversation. I mean, it was quite, as you know, quite a struggle to get to registration. I think most probably the next step would be a certification for us contractors who want to signify that they are qualified. And if we did that, then we would be able to look at not only fraud, but also quality of work. But whether or not the Office of Professional Regulation has the skill set and bandwidth to manage quality of work complaints is, I think, something that really needs to be discussed. And so we'll see what the next year to 10 years takes us. But if we were going straight to licensure, I think it would be too fast at this time. We really need to have some more conversations about that.
Yeah, I'm just, it's sad to hear, considering the amount of hours that we spent in trying to make it right, and also fighting against certain categories of the people who opposed it.
Yes.
Were effective for quite a long time, but it was anticipated that there would be an increase in the need, which that was right. But I'm just, and I'm not, we'll talk offline. I mean, not that I'm on the policy committee to work with you on it, but it is frustrating to hear that, in fact, human nature kicked in and people decided that they would just ignore the requirements put in front of them. So.
Yeah, I'd love to sit down and talk to you about it. I know the secretary does too. This is a program that we both care a lot about and have spent a substantial amount of time with OPR trying to figure out how to broaden our outreach, how to communicate the requirements as effectively as possible. We've done significant outreach in Front Porch Forum. The secretary's been on radio ads. I mean, we have really been at the outer limits of what is within our scope, and we need to have a broader conversation. So there is a bill moving that will create a task force that we support. We testified about it this morning, some adjustments that we'd like to do, but on this topic in particular.
Wayne has a question.
I have a question, but I'll just comment on this topic. I was concerned about this whole thing from the beginning. And if you ratchet down enough, with the housing problem, we ratchet down enough, going to exasperate that. But my question is, 15,000 folks, just broadly, is any specific area that surprises you in terms of, what professions are increasing? Just across the board, flat, or is it, something notable?
I don't know that I could categorize the trends. There's a lot of entrepreneurship out there in this state, and people are following their passions to create a business entity. But I can't say one sector over another. Yeah, that's something we would like more information, but the filings don't require businesses to tell us, exactly what sector they're in and what they're doing.
Don't have the SIC number or anything like that.
We do have that NIST number.
Yeah.
And we could probably dig into that if you're really interested in it. It's not something
I just wondered if you were seeing some trend that was, you know, interesting in terms of where we're going in the state,
Right.
in terms of business.
well, I'll see whether we can dig into that a little bit and get back to you.
With our new business filing system, we may have a little more flexibility in sorting that data differently. So we'll check into that.
Civics.
So the second half of the slide number 4 is our civics program. We've had a lot of really fun wins and advances in the civics program. We will this year produce a printed voter guide for the general election, which will be mailed to each household. We'll get into some more details about that. You'll recall that 2 years ago, we did one that was available only online, which, you know, of course, is a barrier to people who may only access the internet through their mobile device. And so a printed householded copy is the best way, so that when you receive your ballot, you also receive your voter guide and can spend, you know, several weeks thinking about who you'd like to vote for. We launched the Kid Governor program this year, and that was a smashing success. We aimed for trying to find at least one 5th grade classroom in each county so that we had some geographic diversity. We ended up with over 1,000 5th graders across the state participating in the Kid Governor program. I believe the only county that we didn't get a classroom in was Essex County, and that's because they have only one 5th grade classroom. And so we need to try to encourage that teacher to join us. But it's a really great program. It's a curriculum that is really plug and play. The teacher can spend as much time or as little time as they have or want. And it's a curriculum that, you know, that comes ready-made to help kids understand not only how voting works, but how putting together a platform and fixing a problem works. And of course, you know, what we want everyone to understand is that that's the point of government, is to come together to fix a problem that you see in your community.
It was very exciting, and I heard all about that Monday that you did the swearing in ceremony and the cabinet and walking through with the sergeant at arms, and it just felt like $1 million.
They felt like rock stars. It was really fun. And, you know, the governor welcomed us in the governor's office here in the State House, and spent some time with the kids, talking to them about their platforms and about, you know, why they chose what they chose. And so it's really fun, and I'm looking forward to the remainder of the year where our office will support them in enacting not only some of the parts of the Kid Governor's platform, which was ending homelessness in Vermont, but also taking in as much bits and pieces of the 6 cabinet members' platforms, which range from issues around healthy school lunches to access to mental health to bullying prevention. So, you know, there's just so much good work that we can help these kids do.
I think it's great, and it's from Wayne's area, right? Is Highgate yours? Yeah, this my husband got to meet the governor-elect before she was elected. He did a school program in her 5th grade class.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
She'd just been elected, and then
Mhm.
She's on, right?
yeah, she was setting up everything. You know.
Well, she's pretty fabulous.
I'm so glad you're doing that. I just think that's so wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a point of joy and happiness throughout what otherwise has been a relatively challenging year.
Yeah.
And we're, of course, continuing our other civics work, you know, developing projects in response to the findings of our Civic Health Index, and, you know, always looking for ways that we can provide more resources to K-12 teachers for use in the classrooms. Slide 5 talks a little bit more detail about the voter guide. We have been hard at work trying to find the most efficient way to do this project, because we believe that getting information in front of voters was very effective in 2024 in seeing not only record participation in the general election, but a record number of same-day voter registrations. So that is people who maybe hadn't voted before or had recently moved, who knew that the election was coming, knew that they passionately wanted to vote, and were able to take advantage of same-day voter registration and that voter guide in order to make their choices. So we will mail a ballot specific voter guide to every household. That means you and your spouse will have to share. But that is an important way for us to save on the cost of printing and mailing. And so we've been hard at work putting all of those details together, and we look forward to all of you, all as candidates, submitting your profile so that your voters know who you are.
Candidates, I know there are new financial disclosures that are going to be required of candidates for the next election. Is that you guys?
I am so thankful to say that the financial disclosures are not, there are campaign finance disclosures that come to our office, but your ethics commission is the keeper of the other financial disclosures.
Okay. What's the one that's supposed to change this year? The ethics commission one? So it's the same as it was. So I don't know.
Well, we have a new system, so it will look different. It will look different. And the threshold has changed. Now, every candidate will need to register whether you raise funds or expend funds.
Oh, yes.
That was an intentional ask by our office so that people have to affirmatively attest that they have not raised funds every period.
Instead of the $500 limit.
Instead of the $500 limit.
Makes sense.
And that we will also be able to understand who has not registered, who has not filed, et cetera. But the financial disclosure forms are with the Ethics Commission, and I do believe they have changed the format of that. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to try and track down the answer.
I thought the one from the Ethics Commission, once you get elected, you have to sign that one, but you had a different one, but maybe I'm mixing those two up. Is it, maybe that's our conflict of interest thing with what boards we're on,
What
so.
boards you're on and where you get, if you get significant income from certain
Right.
places, it's on that ethics one.
Right,
And that's all housed in the Ethics Commission. Ours is only campaign finance,
yeah.
what you've raised and what you've expended during.
Okay, so no other parts of that, okay.
There have been conversations about whether we should have pieces of that with the Ethics Commission, but we think us just handling the campaign finance is simpler, but we do point the public to the Ethics Commission for.
I had to turn in a form about where my income came from when I filled out my candidate form.
You did, and that goes to the Ethics Commission.
Okay, so I turn it into the town clerk,
Yes.
that goes to the ethics.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, that's why I'm.
Town clerk sent it.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't believe our office ever touches that
All right.
form, but it is.
Because they were together, I thought.
Yes, that makes total rational sense. And yes.
Which is why it isn't happening. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about voter guide? All right.
All right, our Vermont State Archives and Records Administration, we affectionately call it VSARA, promotes, preserves, protects, and provides accurate, authentic, and reliable records and information through our team of staff and our partnerships with Vermont government and communities. We have three major programs within VSARA. One is statewide records and information management. That's for state and local government. That's policies around retention, how to maintain the life cycle of documents, and how to dispose public records. We provide a lot of information to both agencies and municipalities on how information governance could be framed, the standards, and also the best practices. We provide assistance to public officials and employees on creating internal records management programs. And then that core division manages the state records and state archives and our digital archives. As we're becoming more digital, more of our documents are digital. You'll see on the bottom of page 6, that is a picture from our record center. If you haven't had the opportunity to go there, I highly encourage it. It's pretty amazing. But those boxes of paper are reducing and we're getting more digital records, which is a good thing, but still there's a cost in maintaining digital records. Then we have our administrative and statutory services. That's the APA clerk. We issue vital records in partnership with the Department of Health. We have a legislative clerk, which is publisher for Acts and Resolves and the legislative directory. manages municipal and school district formations and the state boards and commissions registrar. And then we also have the Vermont Historical Records Program, which is one of our federal grants for statewide archival services and provides assistance to municipalities, but also to nonprofit Vermont historical societies and record repositories. Then we have our Municipal Assistance Program. This provides information and education to local officials and members of the public regarding open government and municipal matters. This is really a place where we get a lot of inquiries. Usually it's about 125 per month. And this is from members of the public, from people who serve on select boards as well, and town clerks, but primarily it's members of the public. The city and town folks, they have the league, the town clerks, they have the town clerk association and our elections division. The public really doesn't have a resource to call outside of our municipal assistance program. And we answer questions on everything from dog licensing to burying people to public records, open meeting law. We have basically any question that someone has about municipal government, we try and find the answer to. This is, I just want to give a word of appreciation. This is the division where you, in conjunction with your Senate partners, added a position to our office last year. We are asking that position become a permanent position. That was one of the ones that was limited service. We need that position to be permanent. The person who we hired was a member of your body. She's excellent. And she's bringing substantial knowledge, but also capacity to this division. It probably does not surprise you that our office receives extensive public records requests. We just released one that was over 7,000 pages. It is a substantial drain on our office and important transparency. But the way that we're able to process these really large requests, particularly around elections, is because we have a team of people that are helping us do that. So just a really strong ask to make that a permanent position if at all possible.
Any other questions?
So those public records requests, I understand there might be a bill around it that would allow the capture of the actual value of time put into those record checks. What's your position on that?
We haven't seen the language yet. We've been monitoring the conversation. We haven't been asked to testify about it yet. I really am looking forward to seeing the language. I think for us, the push-pull is we want to make sure that obviously the work is compensated, but that it's not a barrier, that transparency should not be curtailed if you don't have money to pay. So
Do you see any cases where you think that the records requests are a weaponization rather than a legitimate?
yes. But that's a difficult balance and it can be a subjective balance. So we have been wanting to see the language of the bill to see how they've navigated that. And as far as I know, the language hasn't been released yet. So
We have another question from Tom.
Speaking of burials, it's one of my favorite documents of all time, is the Digging Deep. Because it's the compilation of all of the cemetery laws. It's very big in House General, over many different things. And I noticed that it hasn't been updated since 2017. I'm just curious if it will be. And that's because of natural burials, composting.
Yes. Well, interestingly, the one person in our office who would be responsible for updating that document is also the person who's processing those, 1,500 municipal inquiries and, hundreds and hundreds of records requests as well. So part of hiring on a second person was to stabilize that division so that it can do its core functions, and put out the fires that need to be put out, but also so that we can think about, putting some of those resources on a more regular schedule of update.
It's great. I mean, it's really obscure to a lot of people, but it's really a great resource.
Digging Deep is one of our most used publications. We can see how many times someone is clicking and downloading, and it's a very popular one. I think mainly because it's a funny title. No, because it has a lot of interesting information in it. But it's high on the list of revisions.
I hear you have a good humorist in the committee. Perhaps we could get a recommendation on what the next iteration should be titled.
We have a few minutes, Dave.
One of the iterations from Secretary Markowitz had a very Halloween themed.
That's time limited.
Well, yes, it moved on from that, but that was, I think, the first time it was done.
We do really want to provide valuable resources and up-to-date resources. One of the biggest ones that we have been working on and really doing a lot of work on is open meeting, because that open meeting law has changed quite a bit. So we've done training videos. Now it's a requirement for many municipal officials. And so we've done now our second iteration of a video about open meeting law, just because that's such an important topic. If you're serving on a public body, but also if you're a member of the public, it is really important. Our Safe at Home program currently serves 204 individuals who are survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, or are providers of legally protected healthcare or patients of legally protected healthcare. This is our address confidentiality program. It provides these individuals with a substitute mailing address, which can be used publicly out in the world, including with state and local agencies. We are a founding member of NACAP, and our team has been attending that conference annually. Most recently, I had the pleasure to go with our team to the conference in Lexington, Kentucky. And the most exciting thing outside of the fact that we're currently helping over 200 people is that we have modernized our IT system. We were doing this all on an Excel spreadsheet. We now are able to engage with folks completely online. People are able to sign up online instead of providing a paper form to us. We can communicate with our participants through the online portal. Our administrator sends them a message. They're able to receive it in their email. Then they receive an email that they have a message, and then they can log on to the portal. So this is a much more secure way for these participants to communicate with our office. It's really streamlined a massive amount of stuff. And significantly, it's helping us with our mailing process, because she is able to indicate who needs to receive mail, and labels can be printed directly out of the system, as opposed to through the very complicated mail merge process that took a half a day every day. So this is a huge system improvement. Our temporary efficient program is the program that allows us to authorize people to marry. It's a really fun part of our office. And in fiscal year 25, we collected just over $193,000 in fees. Lots of marriages.
My kids did that when they got married, and it worked very well. So
Vermont is a beautiful destination for weddings.
it is.
So moving on to slide 8, the Secretary of State funding sources. We have 2 special funds. One is our Secretary of State Service Fund, which is comprised mainly of the revenues of the Business Services Division. It pays 100% of the salary and benefits for that division, as well as our 6 elections positions and 22 positions in Vasara, as well as our executive and administrative staff. Some of the budget pressures that we are anticipating here for 2027 include, the contractual increases in salary and benefits, election materials that we provide to our town and city clerks, and of course, the continued investment in that infrastructure of our election management system, which we rebuilt and recently launched, and we're continuing to make those improvements. Our other special fund is the OPR fund. This fund is comprised of licensure fees, and it cannot be used for costs outside of professional licensing. It funds the 42 employees and in our OPR division, and all of those related activities of public protection that we do within the Office of Professional Regulation. Some of the budget pressures that we are looking at, of course, are the same salary and benefit pressures. Our IT system, which we rely on to quickly and smoothly process licenses is needing upgrade and modernization. And so, you will hear me talking now and into the future about the importance of this concept of having a capital fund for IT infrastructure, because we don't process people's licenses because they came to our building and sat down and filled out a form. We process licenses and registrations in our business services division and, much of our election management system through these online systems. And the lifespan of those is predictably limited. And we should be thinking about how we replace them gradually over time instead of the sticker shock of something that we're trying to do in 1 year. Other budget pressures are around, implementation of new professions, but most importantly, the impact of interstate compacts on the licensing revenue within the Office of Professional Regulation. Compacts are really good policy because it allows us to fill gaps that we have in certain professions, and it allows our professionals to move back and forth smoothly between practicing here and practicing in other compact states. But it does have a significant budgetary impact on the Office of Professional Regulation.
Turning to our election funds, these are grants that have been from the federal government, AHAVA, EAC grants. At this moment, we're unsure about the reauthorization and stability of this. We've already seen a significant hit, which I'll talk about a little bit more, and Sarah will really get into finer detail. But I guess the take home is we can't rely on the federal government to support election work anymore, or certainly not in the way that they have in the past. So we have in our security grant 4.9 million grant funds remaining. That includes the interest that has been earned. Our original grant was 9 million. This has funded our post-election audit and will continue to fund that in 2026. We use this for penetration testing, which is IT system testing, very important to the state. And also just a note here, one of the things that has also occurred under this administration is really the disillusionment of what we used to rely on in CISA. They used to have an election-specific division. This is the Cyber Internet Security Administration within the Department of Homeland Security. They provided a lot of state support around election integrity and security. That support has essentially entirely disappeared. We have been working with our Agency of Digital Services, which has been a very healthy partnership to do work around security of our election system, but we also need to pay other people to do testing. It's best to know about the problems before they become a problem. We also use this money to implement a more secure two-factor authentication, including the use of YubiKeys, which are physical keys that get plugged into the computer for clerks to be able to log on to our election management system. Really state-of-the-art security, very important.
We have a question. John.
Just real quick, what are the match requirements for all these grants that are listed? It's a variant, sure.
It varies per grant. I believe it's usually 20%. Yes. And
You've all been met, right? I saw that.
At this point, yeah. So depending on the grant, it changes.
Thanks.
Read this question.
So are you sure, at what point in time will we be sure these federal money will not come? That's one question. The other question is, so did you have any findings did they tell you why they were stopping the grants? It was all states being stopped the same way?
This is complete elimination of the program for every state in the nation. We have heard that there will be more funds coming. There were more funds that came this year. And the secretary will go into this a little bit more, as will I, but where we used to receive $1 million a year, now we are receiving 272. So it is a dramatic decrease. I think we can anticipate that that type of increase will continue going forward based on the conversations that we're hearing and the communications we're having with other secretaries of state. But it's a dramatic reduction. And of course, it's very dependent on the federal process, which can get kind of gummed up right now.
And Homeland Security is part of the gummed up part.
That is correct. So we use that security grant also for training of town clerks and BCAs. And we also have been doing election day dry runs, which is very important.
So I'm going to pause you for a second because Mike, whose budget area this is on the screen, thank you, Mike, has a question.
Thank you. Just to backtrack a little. In the news lately, the current president and his Speaker of the House have been making, without evidence, continued claims of massive voter fraud. And specifically, they've been talking about mail-in ballot fraud. In your work in Vermont and with other secretaries of state, is there evidence of massive voter fraud as the president claims?
The short answer to that is no, there is not. There are many, many ways and many, many layers that we could go into for me to help describe this to you. The most important thing to remember is that in Vermont, we have 247 duly sworn town and city clerks for a population about the size of Boston. And these men and women serve their communities and keep track of their voter registration lists in their communities. They remove people from the voter registration rolls when they've moved, when they've passed away, or when people say, yes, please take me off the voter registration rolls. We also have investments in our voter portal within the new election management system that allows you to track your ballot on its way to you, and also see when your ballot was received and returned. And all of this is giving transparency into the election processes so that if there is an indication that something might be amiss, we have the ability to track that down. I hear stories from town and city clerks all the time that might fit a narrative of voter fraud if you didn't listen to the whole story. So, little Mrs. Jones shows up on election day and says, I'm here, give me my ballot. The clerk says, well, Mrs. Jones, I see that you already voted. I did not, and I demand that I have my ballot. And it turns out that Mrs. Jones did vote, and the clerk was able to pick her ballot envelope with her signature on it out from the bin and show it to her. And she was aghast. She did not intentionally try to vote twice, but the clerk was on top of it. The clerk was not going to just hand another ballot to this person. These are all, many, many examples that I could give you of times where our clerks have facilitated elections to make sure that Mrs. Jones indeed can cast a ballot, but that she's not being offered more than one ballot.
The other two grants, the Title II Section 251 grant and the DoD Electronic Absentee Ballot Systems for Election grant, both of those are here just for awareness, but we no longer have any grant funds remaining in those grants. We have used all of those monies. So again, just to reemphasize the warning about election-related federal funds, the federal government has historically funded about 60% of our election-related efforts. The funds have been reduced significantly. We historically have received about $1 million per year. This was reduced to $272,000 in 2025. We are not expecting to receive funds, and this is a revenue gap of $728,000. And those other two grants, again, have not been funded in some time. We don't expect funding to come through those grants in the near future. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the secretary.
So if you're following along, we are now on slide 11. We created this slide just this morning because I wanted to be able to really paint a picture for you to see the not only the decline in funding for election infrastructure, but the important contributions of general fund that support the work of our office in conducting elections with our town and city clerks. So the blue bars that you'll see are that HAVA security grant. You'll see back in 2018 and 2020, that was about $3 million. Starting in 22, 23, and 24, that was reduced to 1 million. As the deputy said, it's 272,000 in 2025, and we have a question mark there about what 2026 and beyond looks like. And so you will see that we are asking for general fund election support that is consistent with the general fund ask from, historically for the legislature to support the conducting of elections. We are requesting 1.1 million, which is comprised of 450,000 of that ongoing general fund historical annual support. And also we are requesting 650,000 to help backfill that gap in the HAVA EAC grant, which that was a shortfall, as the deputy said, of 728,000. We are hoping that you all can help us with 650,000 of that.
Is the 450 already in the budget?
It should be, yes. That is
450 is already there, and the new money request is 650.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this and I find this really scary.
me both.
And I'm just kind of trying to imagine what's down the road, right? I mean, so what, say, 2 years from now, when there's no carry forward money from any of the grants that you have, if in fact this money from the federal government dries up, what will the general fund need to kick in? And is there technical assistance and or expertise of some kind that is tied to this federal, being connected to this federal money in the past that you no longer benefit from? Are you on your own, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. Are we on our own or, yeah.
It appears that we are on our own for now. This federal administration has been very focused on elections and talking a lot about elections. So we certainly hope that at some point, calmer heads prevail and it occurs to them that because states conduct state and federal elections, there should be some federal money sent to the states to support that work. We're unclear of when they will come around to that conclusion. But that has historically been the reason why this money has been appropriated to the states, because the federal government has put requirements for federal elections on the states and has helped to fund it.
If I could just say something, because I think it's important to think about, the attacks on our system are the same as the attacks on California's system. We have the same foreign actors trying to get into our election system as California. California already, because we're very grateful for the small state minimum. That's been historically very helpful for us. But California receives a lot more money from the federal government than the state of Vermont does. But the costs of protecting our systems are the same. So this is a space where we really suffer from having a small population when we're receiving money from the federal government. If we don't receive money from the federal government, we still have the same burden to Vermonters to protect our systems from foreign actors. And we know and see that that is happening now, and it's going to uptick as we get towards the election. That's a given. And so we need to make sure that we have all of the systems in place, all the checks and balances to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then we also have, and I just want to give the secretary a lot of credit. She goes around the state talking to pretty much any group that asks her to talk about election integrity and how important our elections are. I think the burden on this office to instill trust in elections right now is heavier than it has ever been. There's a lot of work that we need to do to help Vermonters feel like their elections are as secure as they actually are. And so that takes a lot of intention and ultimately money.
I have John and then Wayne.
So, so at the end of the day, we've done everything we can do within what we know here at these match requirements here. We don't know what we're gonna get, if anything, to kind of fill match.
You speak up, I'm
Sorry.
sorry. This
There's a loud fan right behind you.
So at the end of the day, we've done everything we can do here to make sure our match requirements are met here. There's a gap here. We don't know if we're gonna get anything to fill that here, and we really have no indication at this stage of the game when you might be notified of what we may get, if anything whatsoever.
Yes. Yes, Congress has been having
Pretty
some budget
clear.
battles throughout this past year.
So our great hope is to continue to move ahead with what we can with what we have currently here and try to fill the gap
Yeah,
as it comes about, but we don't really know when
right.
we're gonna find this out.
Yes.
So was there any kind of target date whatsoever to let states know? It sounds
They
like
were,
the answer is no.
negotiating it the last several months, and I think it's now very much tied up in this budget discussion, and I'm not clear what will come out of that. We haven't heard an update that provides clarity yet.
As the member from Burlington rightly pointed out, you know, we're holding our own right now, but
Right.
if we get 2 years down the road and the status quo continues the way it is now, then we're going to have some tough conversations that we will need to have with the legislature on how we provide that continuous funding for the election security infrastructure, for the staff people who help train our town and city clerks and maintain our systems.
I have a question.
So I'm a little confused. 2022 is when you had the 2/3 drop in the total number of your travel. And that was a previous administration. Did any idea what that driver was at that time?
The terms of the grant shifted. You'll see in 2018 and 2020, we received 3,000, and that was, 3 million. And that was because that was the initial portion of that grant. And then it stopped being 3 million every 2 years and started being 1 million every year. The terms changed and the amount changed. And that was done at the federal level, not within any decision of the Vermont Secretary of State.
I understand. I just wondering if they gave you any guidance or any indication as to why they chose to do that back in 22.
Maybe they did. I don't know.
We weren't in our current positions back then, so I couldn't say for sure, but I suspect it has to do with front loading some of these programs with a big tranche of money to begin with, and then tapering to a more consistent level ongoing. The Help America Vote Act is.
Created some systems so that initial money with the 3 million a year. And then once those were built, it dropped it down to 1 million.
Now that the source of the grant, the Help America Vote Act, had a lot of requirements for states that we needed to get up to speed to do. Vermont included, accessible voting machines and a centralized election management system, quite a few elements. And so there was a large amount of money spent just on that work. And then we sort of moved into maintenance phase. But for us, maintenance phase is that small state minimum, not 1 million. And that is what has dramatically
Just having
decreased.
those discussions with the feds.
Yes, as much as we can have those discussions with the feds, that is true.
We certainly let our congressional delegation know the importance of this, particularly that small state minimum.
Or that you are not letting this rest. What happens if you don't get the $650,000?
well, then that 2-year time frame that your colleague from Burlington alluded to might become a shorter time period. I mean, we have ongoing annual expense that needs to be met in order to.
So what wouldn't you be able to do?
There isn't much within the spending of our elections division that is discretionary. We have to do all of those functions. We have to equip and train our town and city clerks. We have to, prepare ballots. We have to, take in candidate filings. We have to maintain the election management system, which is our voter registration system, our online voter portal, and, all of the associated systems within that.
It's helpful for us to know what the risk is. That's why I'm asking the question. I'll figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, seems to me HAVA existed. Since 2000. And we got money, the $3 million level all the way through the 2000s until. That went into all those requirements and improvements.
I'm using my phone a friend to talk with our budget staff, and she's nodding that yes, it was consistent funding
For a
for
while,
many, many years. Yes,
and that helped a lot.
yes.
It was almost one-time money, but it extended over a large period of time. And then the small state is sort of just your maintenance.
Major systems, major upgrades in
Yeah.
Vermont occurred during that time.
Nationally, it was for everybody. It was a
Yes.
federal law. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, turning away from election requests, I'm going to speak about VAN's general fund allocation request. We have been very fortunate to have the VAN grant housed within our office, administered by us. And the goal really is to help community media centers meet the needs and interests of all corners of the state. VAN, I hope you hear from them. They have an amazing mission, but they really are trying to promote and advance public, educational, and government access television. So, a lot of the core function of democracy is to know what your governmental bodies are doing, what your educational groups are doing. My son just won an orchestra contest, and he composed a piece. Van was there and recorded it. If there's a public meeting on something, Van is usually there recording it. So these are things that are really important to civic health and to government transparency. They operate more than 80 local cable channels and through 24 centers. So I hope you hear from them. We support their request for an increase. Last year, they received 1.35. This year, we're supporting the 1.8. But they have a long-term goal of a more sustainable grant level. And the important thing to remember here is a lot of this work, when we all paid for cable, was paid through cable fees, and that is disappeared. So that is the thing that
The gas tax.
I'm just,
Go with it.
okay, my perception is that there is no other, this kind of transparent window into local politics and policymaking, select board, school board, all of that, there isn't a replacement for this. It's not gonna get in, there isn't anybody else doing this, correct?
That's correct. The closest replacement are the next two slides, which are also asks for us to support. So, but yeah, there's a triad of media people who provide this sort of access to government and transparency to government. Without those three groups, no, there's not coverage of what happens at the select board. And that puts Vermonters at a strong disadvantage because a lot of the decisions that are made at the local level are the decisions that are most impactful to Vermonters every day. And, as we're talking about increasing trust in democracy and increasing trust in government. Vermonters trust local government more than they trust state government, and a heck of a lot more than they trust the federal government. So, building that trust at the local level is important. The next request is the community radio request, which they have come in partnership with VAN. These are 10 community radio stations that last year they did receive money. Oh no, this is a new request, totally new. And they're requesting 90,000 to support community radio. The community radio stations are here, and you'll see they're pretty well distributed across the state. These are the radios that, a lot of folks have on in the background all the time. And again, they cover topics that are not covered on VPR even though VPR is our local public radio, they don't get into as deep a topics as these community radio folks do.
See, in my conservative Franklin County district.
We'd like to start one.
There you
You
go.
have one in Richmond, or is that Van? Yeah, Van.
Richmond's not Franklin County.
Oh, Richmond, sorry, I was thinking Richmond.
Start.
They might want to join us though.
The next one is our local Civic Journalism Awards. There was a press conference on this yesterday. We were very proud to host that program. This is a partnership that was done with the Vermont Community Foundation. The legislature awarded $50,000 and they matched it, the Vermont Community Foundation. And then there was an independent panel convened by UVM Center for Community News, and 16 recipients were awarded money yesterday. And the press conference was really quite powerful because the use of the funds, even though some folks are receiving only $4,000, they spoke really of what high value that was for them. The printing costs have gone up, the mailing costs have gone up, gas has gone up, all of these things add up, and $4,000 is a game changer for many of these organizations. It was really quite endearing.
So slide 15 is just a distillation of all that we talked about, and we wanted to put this together on one slide under the category of democracy media grants. These are grants that really just pass through our office that we are honored to be able to help facilitate, and they are really truly investments in making sure that Vermonters can stay civically engaged in their communities, know what government is doing on their behalf. And so I also wanted to put in another picture from that press conference because the Barton Chronicle not only showed up to celebrate their award, but they brought us print newspapers too. So I have 2 issues to catch up on for the Barton Chronicle.
There are 4 position requests out of our office this year. One is for a records information management specialist, a RIM specialist. That would be someone within the State Records and Archives Administration that really would be focused on helping statewide efforts, record efforts around the state. Again, how state agencies manage their records is critically important. And probably most important at this moment in time is the building of IT systems, how IT systems are contemplated, how they're built, how records get stored in them, how records get taken out of them. That's critical importance. And this position would help us focus in on that and help with state IT builds. So we are really excited about the possibility of this position and really need that in order to get engaged in this level of work. The next is another position that we're hoping will be put in the big bill. This would be for another business services administrator. Again, this is a team of 6. We have a director and 5 business services administrators. That team is stretched beyond capacity right now. We have a new system. The new system has taken and streamlined a great amount of work, but we are at the limit of what a system can do. And we need another human to help answer calls, to be able to help people understand what the differences are between the business registrations, to be able to problem solve with people. I mean, it's almost like a therapy session sometimes on these calls. If you're a small business, you're starting a small business, you have 1,000 questions. We can answer maybe 5 of them, but we hear all 1,000. And we try and get people to the right places. So this position is really critical for us. Our director answered the phone for 2 hours earlier this week, and he handled over 30 calls in 2 hours. So the volume is really, really high. We also have some records management work that we need to do in this division. We used to receive only paper that needs to be digitalized and put into our system. We're seeing this position as a really key part of that work, and choosing to do that with a person that is on our team as opposed to hiring a contractor. The other 2 positions are in S 206. This is the early childhood educator bill. This was a topic that was talked about last session. It's currently on the Senate side. We'll see. Hopefully it makes progress over to the House side. This is a really important initiative of our office, introducing licensure to early childhood educators. We did a sunrise and found that it was necessary to protect the youngest Vermonters in the state.
Wonderful. So do we somewhere have a list of all of the requests in one spot? Or is it all the way through? It's just the things.
We will do that, but we do.
So if you fast forward through all of those spreadsheets that will help you with your late night reading list, you can go to slide 26 and see that this is a list of the differences between the governor's recommend and our current ask. 2 categories. One is those democracy media grants for journalism, radio, and the Vermont Access Network. And then, of course, the election support, which is that $450,000 for ongoing support and backfilling some of the shortfall from the decrease in the federal grants.
Okay, so 2 things. I thought when I asked about the 450, you said it was in the budget already. That 450 is not in the governor's budget.
That's a really good question.
It was.
It was removed.
Results.
And what was it? It was just, it wasn't attached to people. It was work that needed to be, I mean, what was the 450 for?
That is the ongoing level of support
Does
that,
that mean people or does that mean? I'm trying to figure out what's attached. What you need the 450 for doing all the.
We have historically received that level of support from the General Assembly, and we have been using that. It hasn't ever been dedicated to like, you use this money for this purpose from the General Assembly.
Just to
to
help
an allocation
election things.
to help with the whole division.
Okay, all right. So then there's that. And then the other thing is this doesn't include the 4 positions that you just talked about.
The 2 positions that we're asking for in the big bill, we believe we can absorb into our Secretary of State fund budget. The other 2 positions, the early childhood education,
Okay,
the S206, there is a general fund allocation there
in that bill.
in that bill, and it's moving on the Senate side.
Okay.
So is the ban in the governor's budget recommended?
The ban is the 1,350,000 is, but not the increase.
Okay, so
That's the
450
450.
Yes. All of these things on the back page are not in the governor's recommend.
And I'm sorry, yes, and I'm sorry I gave you the wrong information about the 450. It was when we submitted it to the governor, so that was my misunderstanding.
Well, we're all confused, so that's okay. Now maybe we're not.
Perhaps we'll get clarity before.
Clarity.
That's very helpful.
So I just want to also point out that we have provided you with a little bit of ray of sunshine here. These are the 5th graders, the 7 5th graders who, and also on the front of our packet here, who were finalists in the Kid Governor program and are serving currently as Kid Governor and her cabinet. So it was a wonderful fall, and it's going to be a wonderful winter and spring, helping these kids do good things in their communities.
It's very exciting. And we have a woman Kid Governor.
I know.
Young woman kid.
Interestingly, all of the states who participated in Kid Governor this year, so it's Oklahoma, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Vermont, and Oregon, maybe? All 5 states, the Kid Governors are girls.
Amazing.
Just, you know, I mean,
All right,
never know.
Gives us hope.
maybe they'll solve all our problems for us. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks for all the good work you're doing. Really glad you're there.
Thank you.
Okay. We're not gonna take a break. We're running
I'm
late.
gonna go up
You go do
I didn't mean to.
you, Dave.
Thanks so much.
the burial bill and I let them know it was a grave discussion. There was a lot of coughing. I'll do my best to represent the
We
team.
want to meet you, Dave. And so we'll have Wendy join us from the Department of Liquor. And we just backed up the last one by 15 minutes. And Wendy, we so appreciate your patience.
Of course, I will be brief. How's that? It's possible. I will admit that I am a morning person and I would be probably much better at 5:30 in the morning doing this, 3:30 in the afternoon, but I will try to rally. And unlike the Secretary of State, I have no slide deck with photos. I have a bunch of numbers and
Bye, Chair.
my voice. Oh, I have a pie chart. Yes, but no photos.
Your question?
Yeah, yeah, and the summary.
Oh, here it is. Doing pie charts too. So when you're ready, introduce.
Okay, I'm sorry you're waiting for me. I just want to see if the finance director is online. Oh, great, good, good. Tracy Bado is our new finance director. Do you want to wave to the?
Tracy, and Wendy, introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, I will. Wendy Knight, the Commissioner of the Department of Liquor and Lottery. So I am going to run through the budget. If I can't answer anything that I think Tracy might help on, I will ask her to.
Well, and so most of you want to hear like
Yes.
highlights and accomplishments and new initiatives and all those.
Yes.
Thanks.
Should I start there then, rather than the?
Yeah, we don't need to start with the numbers.
Great. I provided an overview, which is just really what we've been doing, what the department does. So you all know that we manage 2 enterprise funds. We run 2 businesses, and we're the regulatory agency for sports wagering, tobacco, liquor, and lottery. We have a public law enforcement team, and they do our compliance and our enforcement. We run 802 spirits agencies. We have 84. The new initiatives there are, we did last year, we implemented that, if you remember, the B2B website, and that was the online ordering process for our on-premise licensees. Instead of walking into a store or faxing or calling and placing an order, which is quite antiquated, we set up what we're calling 802 Spirits Connect. And that was the B2B website for those licensees. So we were able to launch that in the fall, and that's working quite well. And we have a whole strategy with Provi, who is the vendor that we selected to what we call go to market. So to encourage more of the on-premise licensees to use that and to educate the agents. So that's proceeding in a nice fashion. The other initiative that we have been doing over the last couple of years is opening up additional kiosk stores. So kiosk store is a smaller 802 Spirits store. It tends to carry mostly Vermont products and then top 50 products, and it is not selling to on-premise licensees. So it's meant for walk-in customers. We have been putting these in places where we've identified coverage gaps and in places where we have traffic from tourists primarily. So we had one in West Addison we opened up. We have one in Quechee that we're looking at, and we our newest initiative is to open some of these near ski resorts and the welcome centers, because we know we have a very robust tourist economy in Vermont. And so we want to take advantage of them coming up and not stopping by other states and bringing their alcohol when they're coming up here for a weekend or a week. We want them to shop at an 802 Spirits store.
And are those fully licensed, or are they run by independent businesses, or are these state-owned?
So our model in Vermont, all the 802 Spirit stores are locally independent owned. We do not own and run any of the 802 Spirit stores, unlike New Hampshire, for example, or Pennsylvania. They have big warehouse stores that are owned and operated by the state. We don't do that. We contract, and it's not, I want to make a distinction between when you say license. So an 802 Spirit store is a second-class license, meaning a retail store. So they receive a second-class license. If you want to be an 802 Spirit store, it's done through a competitive bid process, and then we have a contractual relationship with the 802 Spirit store.
Wait, so second-class license, so I always used to be beer and wine.
Second-class license is anything that sells alcohol, right? So if you're an 802 Spirit store, you also are selling beer, wine, and distilled spirits.
Yeah, now, in the old days, you couldn't.
Yeah, so I'm just explaining how it is now. Yeah, so the way,
When did that change?
yeah, I have no idea. So a second-class license allows you to sell at a retail store any kind of alcohol beverage. The way the 802 Spirits is, it's a contract to just sell the spirit. There is no 802 Spirit store as a standalone entity. There's no 802 Spirit store that just sells spirits, is what I'm getting at. They're also selling, they can be convenience stores, they can be grocery stores. So they're also selling other types of alcohol and other types of consumer products.
And they also use your electronic system.
An 802 Spirits store is the only one that has our point of sale system. That's why when you go into a convenience store or wine store that sells beer, wine, cider, RTDs, and spirits, you have one payment, point of sale, hardware for the spirits, and then you have to go to the other for your wine or beer or cider. Yeah. So those initiatives are going well. I'm hoping that when I'm here next year, we can talk about how well they did, because we're just rolling out the 802 Spirits kiosk stores. Same with we had some additional lottery vending machines, and so we're putting those in some of those tourist areas, as I mentioned as well. Again, to take advantage of the tourists that are coming in. On the 802 Spirits front, because we want people to shop at 802 Spirits stores, and don't want them to load up in other states on their way here, or have Vermonters, God forbid, cross state lines and go somewhere else and buy alcohol. We want to talk about the advantages of buying your spirits from an 802 Spirits store and what that does. It benefits general fund, it benefits that local business. A lot of these are family-run businesses, and it benefits the community. So we have an advertising brand campaign that we've launched this year that's new to sort of encourage people to shop local and what shopping at an 802 Spirits does for the state. Online sports wagering, we are on track to meet our FY26 projection. We're continually monitoring that. And the key budget issues, I think, is that, we've been talking about this for 3 years. Lottery sales are down nationally, liquor sales are down nationally, and we're seeing that reflected here in Vermont as well.
Move it down.
Yes. Correct. Any questions?
Annie?
I will, before I go through the ups and downs, because I just talked about projections, if I can, let me just talk about the FY26 transfer projections. Would that be helpful to you to understand?
26 or 27?
I have 26.
Transfers.
At the end of the
At
year?
the end of FY '20.
Okay.
Like some information and it's a separate document.
Yeah.
Oh, this,
It
okay.
shows
Yeah,
how much the revenue ends up coming back.
correct.
Goes to general fund. and-
Right. So we talked about this last year too, remember? We talked about, how starting back in 2018, there was a change in the GASB standards and we ended up running a deficit, right? And so prior to me, and so what we did 2025 is we zeroed out that deficit. And so I'm going to start with 2025, right? So
Yeah, so we put like 9 million or 7 million
Correct.
to the fund to make.
yes, so we only transferred on the liquor control fund, we transferred 9.5 million.
Yes.
And what we zeroed out is the 6.953. So we took 6.9 million and instead of that being also transferred to the general fund, that was used to zero out the deficit. So if you add those two, if you're looking for comparisons of year over year, that would have been really 16.5 million, not 9 you see there. Obviously you see the trend that starting from, let's look at 2023, right? We had a gross revenue of 104.9 million, almost 105 million. That was a 2% increase from the previous year.
This is on the liquor side.
Correct. I'm on the liquor column. And then you start to see that the next year, 2024, it goes down 2%. And then this year, of course, we zeroed that out. And so if you're looking at comparisons, you would have, you see that it was basically flat. So the revenue in 2024 was 102 million and 2025 is 101. So a little flat there. The amounts that were transferred in 23 and 24, we talked about this last year, those were set in statute in the bill that allowed the RTDs to go to the private sector. And that was a negotiation point.
RTD meaning ready.
I'm sorry, ready to drink, yeah, the low ABV, ready to drink cocktails. And so.
In the convenience store.
Correct. Now you can buy them, not just they're not sold in a 802 Spirit store exclusively. They're sold in, convenience stores, et cetera. So when we look at the lottery fund, we see that in 2023, 159 million in revenue, I'm rounding obviously, from ticket sales. That was a 5% increase from the prior year. Then you jump to 2024 and you see a 6% increase, 168, almost 169 million. And then 2025, it declined 8%. And that's reflective of what we're seeing nationally is there's inflation. And we have we had lower jackpots in 2025, right? So if there's lower jackpots, people tend not to buy those Powerball jackpot tickets. Sports wagering, obviously, we just have the last 2 years. The gross revenue for FY24 consisted of the revenue share we earned in those 6-month period, 3.5 million, plus the operator fees. There's 1.65 million in operator fees. We collect 550,000 from each operator once every 3 years.
Okay, and the 3.2 million, what happened?
That was transferred that's transferred to the general fund. Sports wagering is transferred to the general fund. Madam Chair, you have a.
Go ahead, thank you.
Did you choose to change the jackpot numbers? Was that a marketing thing or was that somehow?
We don't control the jackpot numbers.
Who did it?
Mega Millions, just they didn't.
Yeah, Powerball, Mega Millions. So if they don't have a winner, the jackpot rose.
Okay, so that there wasn't a choice because I think in some of them you choose what the payout is, right? But not-
There has to be.
The department, the Vermont Lottery doesn't choose the jackpots or the prizes.
We just sell the tickets.
I understand. I was thinking of the other things you do control. Lottery tickets and other things like that. Any of those controlled?
Controlled in what way? Like you saying the price structure
Yeah,
and
price structure. I mean, the marketing thing. I'm talking marketing. do you manipulate any of the payouts for marketing purposes?
We don't manipulate anything.
You adjust,
I don't know.
you adjust things, or do you, you don't even,
No, I don't. I'm sorry, sir. I don't understand.
yeah, so if you get a product, you get a scratch up ticket, do you, you know, you pay out a certain amount if you win that scratch up. You ever change those values for any purpose, for marketing purposes? This ticket's gonna pay out $1,000, this ticket's gonna pay out $20.
So do we market those differently?
There's different kinds of scratch tickets.
Yeah.
And you must buy them from like a third-party vendor.
Yes,
All the different
yes,
ones. They're
yes,
not creating
yes,
them.
yes. We have a vendor that
They go to the store and
Yes.
buy the tickets.
we think, yes, we have a vendor that we buy the tickets from. We're not involved in any way in the creation of the tickets or the odds or the jackpot.
And
I think that answers your
Yes.
question.
that's my question.
Okay.
Yeah, and we don't manipulate.
I wasn't suggesting that. Any kind of,
Be clear.
thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad. Thank you for helping me understand the gentleman's question. All right, now I've gotten sidetracked. Okay, we're on sports wagering. So that was the first year. In FY '25, the revenue was, you'll see the gross revenue was 6.3 million. This was the first year that we started to collect the registration for fantasy sports. The bill had called for a transfer from the Secretary of State's office to the department and the sports wagering bill. So that 6.3 million includes 80,000 from fantasy sports registration. Okay, so you were asking, Marty, what are we projected? And I'm going to ask straight, what are we projecting for FY '27 transfers?
Oh, well, I guess.
Or 26?
No, I don't think I was even
Okay.
asking that. I
Okay.
thought the committee would want to know the history of the.
Yes.
More revenues.
Yes, yes.
The education fund and to the.
Thank you. And
People
so
often ask that.
the end of June, FY '26, obviously, we're in that now. I'm just going to let you know that we're projected to transfer 16.8 million into the from the liquor fund to the general fund. We're projected to transfer from the lottery fund to the education fund, 32.7 million. And we're projected to transfer from sports wagering to the general fund, 6.68 million. And Tracy has the FY '27 projections, I believe. Yes, Tracy?
I don't have them up right this
Okay,
second, but I can.
That's
I
fine.
will get
It's all
them.
right. You know what? We're going to follow up on that.
Yeah,
That's
and
fine.
it'll get a language, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
First.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't have that. So, any questions before I go through the ups and downs?
Are you going to talk about new initiatives for next year, or is that?
We don't have any budget initiatives. I have no new initiatives involved.
Working on for?
Oh, of course.
That's really what I was talking about.
So we have a policy initiative, which is online lottery. And so we're working with the policy committees right now, seeking specific statutory authorization for online lottery. And that's the purchase of a lottery ticket on the phone or a website. And so the way I've described it is we do a lot of things now on the internet and the phone. We traditionally would do banking at a retail, a bank, and you would go in and you would, what's it called? A teller. It's called a teller, right? You would interact with your teller. And now we have things called ATM machines. And then we have online banking. So if you're someone like me, I do all my banking online. Rarely do I go into a bank. The way it works now with lottery, it is a retail product, right? So you go into a convenience store or a lottery agent and you can go to the clerk and you can buy the lottery tickets over the counter, or you could go to a self-service vending machine. And what we're seeking for is the authorization to. The next evolution of that is the phone and the internet. There's no budget associated with that, no budget ask. It's just an initiative.
Okay, there'll be legislative.
There's a bill.
Language, but there's no budget.
Correct. There's no budget attached to that. No budget ask. I mean, since we run businesses, we're always looking to innovate. We're always looking at data. We have an excellent data analyst who's looking at, performance metrics, looking at how we can be more efficient. We know as revenues are going down, what we need to do is save money and be cost conscious. And so we're constantly looking at containing our costs and then operating more efficiently. How do we do things so that it takes less time and we do things in a way that are streamlined and more efficient? So that's really, I would say, our priority for the next year is really efficiency and operational excellence, right? We want to operate in an excellent way, an efficient way. The other priority that has been my priority since I've been at the department for almost 5 years is to have us move into a larger, newer warehouse combined office space. We are operating right now in 3 locations. It makes it very difficult to operate as an integrated department. Formerly, used to be Vermont Lottery Commission, Division of Liquor Control. For the last few years, we've been really operating as an integrated department. So that continues to be a priority for me.
And it's been years since we've studied getting a new warehouse. Is that dead? Is that we're just gonna stay there?
We don't need a study.
There was money put aside years and years ago.
Yes, I know that. We just did another study. And I went ahead and did another study with the Vermont Certified Public Management Program. So we're all set. We know what we need. We sent out an RFP a couple years ago. It was the height of the cost. It was way too expensive. We put that on pause. Now we're looking at existing warehouse spaces. So I'm just moving through that process. Yep.
22nd century is coming soon, so. It's just that's how long it seems we've been talking.
I know. You know, sometimes things in state government don't move as quickly as we would like.
There's somebody who worked here years ago in economic services who talked about moving at the speed of government.
Yeah, yes. And it is very challenging when you're trying to run businesses within the structure of state government.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world. Okay.
Appropriate song.
There you go. You can write one and play it on your banjo, Wayne.
So, Madam Chair, would you like me to move on to the ups and downs?
Sure. Is there anything new or unusual or?
In the ups and downs?
Yeah.
Well, we're submitting a budget that's $1 million less than last year.
Because of that ADS thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, also, we've tried to be cost conscious and
Which we
made a budget that
Yep, that's good.
only asks for what we need. So, so I think that's the unusual piece.
Yeah,
of this
the
budget.
rest is the typical salaries and.
Correct. Things are,
Usual.
ADS, there's some more things that are a little more expensive with ADS and how they're renegotiating stuff. Some things went down. We have a little bit more money because we gave people promotions and reclassified their positions to pay them more. I strongly advocate to make sure the team has the compensation, the tools and the resources and the support that they need so they can continue to do excellent work for us. So, it's pretty straightforward. If you have any other questions, there's software things we need to do in terms of technology for the education. You're required, if you have a liquor license, a seller or server, you need to take your certification, your education. We require that. I mentioned we are doing some more brand awareness around 802 Spirits and Vermont Lottery that goes to the ed funds. So we're doing a little bit more TV advertising than we would normally do. That's that.
Any other questions, folks? That was a good idea, Marty.
I thought people would,
Yeah.
because they always ask,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
"Money are we getting out of the
Yeah.
lottery?"
So that's really helpful. And then next year, all you have to do is just add another year onto it. Once you set it up. So great.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, so thanks very much. We appreciate
Very
it.
welcome.
We're running a little late,
It's
but
okay.
glad you could stay with us.
I always welcome a moment to sit and reflect.
There you go. Yeah.
This side of the room up.
Yeah.
This isn't the total amount of sales. What is these numbers?
This is our, so, I'm sorry, remind me your name.
I'm Dave. Yeah.
Dave, okay,
Yeah.
Dave. Dave's asking about the pie chart.
I was out of the room when.
That's our budget. The governor's recommended FY 27 budget is 17 million and change. That's the dividing it by the funds. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay,
Any other?
any other questions?
Happy with the trace will come up. Nope, I think we're good.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you guys want 5 minutes or do you want to go straight through? What's your preference? Straight through.
Go straight through. I'm gonna get up.
Okay, you
Miss
go.
most of them, but,
Okay. So do what you
Yeah,
need to do.
I gotta go talk.
Okay,
Brings.
Madam Chair, they didn't do our bill.
yeah,
They postponed it.
they were giving you more time to tell jokes about it.
Well, I was up all night tossing and turning, excited about the presentation.
So they postponed it until tomorrow? Okay, all right, thank you. So we have Public Service Department here? Great, thank you. Now we're sort of back on the old schedule, so, okay.
Impressive.
Just never know how things are gonna go. So, have you been into our committee room before?
Haven't physically been in. Last year, I think it was
Online last year.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so welcome, and if you'd like to introduce yourselves and tell us about your budget. Do we have handouts for this? Did you? Okay, I just need to find it. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Brittany Wilson, Deputy Commissioner at the department.
I'm Patty LaRose, I'm the financial manager.
Nice to see you both.
See you all. Thanks for having us in. All right. Do you all need a minute to pull up the presentation that we've sent along?
You have what they need to look at?
Good.
Hang on one sec. Oh, and Scott you're here for this, Scott.
Yes.
I wasn't sure people sometimes like to just come and find it restful to come in.
People, yeah.
So I'm afraid to. We have Representative Campbell who also.
We have fans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. So if you have any questions, just let me know and you can ask. All right. Are we ready now? Everybody set? Let's go. You can orient us to where you're taking us.
Great. So as you have in front of you, a presentation from the department here, and we'll just kick off pretty high level, talk about Department of Public Service, what we do. We represent the public interest in energy, telecom, water, and wastewater utility matters. We do that in a variety of ways, which we can talk a little bit about. And the way we do those things is structured over several divisions. We have 8 divisions. So if you flip the next page, you'll see a high level. Oh, slide 4, thank you. High level org chart that outlines the divisions. On slide 5, there's a quick summary of each of those divisions and what they do. There's quite a few words there. I don't know that you want me to read through those and summarize, but please ask any questions if you have specific ones about any of the divisions, but we'll get into a little bit more details as we start running through the other slides.
So if people are mad at their cable company,
They would
call the Public Advocacy Division?
They would call the CAPI division.
Happy.
They might call the PA division, but they would probably be referred to the CAPI division. We have some great folks there that are on the front lines answering phone calls and emails and helping the public navigate those utility issues. And
I get questions about that. So that's good for me to know. We can find that numbers up on your website.
absolutely. So if we want to skip down to slide 10, because those other slides are really the narrative about what our divisions in the department do. We can take a look at the Public Service Department achievements over fiscal 26. I'll just point out a couple of things here. The Telecommunications Division, I would say one big effort was the testing, the drive tests that we do for cellular voice and data services across the state. So some of that work is done by our team and contracted out, and 13,000 miles were driven to test.
I remember the last time that happened. if we want, can we see this map online?
It is. So it's published online. You can check, I think 4 different providers. So you can say, I have AT&T, where do I have service in Vermont? And so it's a really great. Next slide, 12. This is the CAPI division I was just speaking about, Consumer Affairs and Public Information. This slide shows a little bit of the high-level numbers that division does for work. So the people that have contacted, how many cases are closed, how many investigations happen. The next slide.
Wait, just a second there. It looks like you've gone from a high of 6,200 down to 2,600. That's great. Is this cable bills or is this other things as well? What are the general topics of complaint that you mostly think you get?
I think it's probably, well, I'd probably be guessing, but I think it's cable and then utility. Yeah.
Okay.
Cable and then utility.
Your electric,
utility.
or fuel or something like that.
Like no service problems, that was it.
Yeah, or there's an error on my bill and I can't get, them to answer me about it. They range, kind of all the typical questions and concerns you probably get in your email.
That was the beginning of the pandemic, but it's about.
Oh, that's a good point. So Patty was just pointing out 2021, that high number,
Yeah.
pandemic.
Right, that's what I figured. It was probably everyone was watching or paying attention and, yeah.
Everybody needing more and better.
And then you had an audit from the audit.
Yeah, next slide is the audit, the CAPI audit. You may have seen this in the news, but the state auditor's office did an audit of CAPI and the work that they do to help customers. Overall, the audit found that the department and the division in particular does a great job with resolving those issues. The areas they pointed out for improvement were around like written procedure and process. So we're going to work on those. Good constructive feedback from the auditor's office on that. But overall, great news from my standpoint to know that the team is really like doing the work and getting it done. So we do a better job at like the procedure and the metrics. Yes, but overall, we're helping people in resolving issues. So that's great news. Next slide, the Division of Efficiency and Energy Resources. They did a few potential studies over the past fiscal year, but then I would point to the EEU DRP proceeding, which is the Energy Efficiency Utility Demand Resource Plan process. That's a 3-year budget process that the department does with the energy efficiency utilities in front of the Public Utility Commission. And at the end of the day, the PUC will set these budgets for the EEUs. But that is a lengthy and important process. And so all that planning work for the next performance period was done in the prior fiscal year. So a lot of good work. The planning division, a couple of highlights. There's been some important workshops around grid resilience. There's been a lot of work at the regional level and working with ISO New England and other New England states in trying to get ISO to host an independent reviewer. And so there's also been some work done internally at the department to move forward a small data project. The department's been wanting to do for several years. And so that's just for our ability to better collect and use and analyze data. And so that's some of the good work that division's been doing.
So you brought up grid resilience. I don't know if this is actually your department or not, but I've been hearing about grid issues across the country as we either have more storms or more people are going electric, whether it's, electric stoves and dryers and heat pump, whatever. It's not electric vehicles, it's all the other electric stuff. And there's worries about the capacity and the ability of the grid to handle that. I don't know if that's an issue with ISO New England or whether it's a more of a national thing, but.
Well, I guess I would say it's a regional thing, right? Based on, and so ISO New England is definitely the entity that's keeping the closest eye on that. And thankfully, we're not seeing the same problems in New England as we are in other regions.
So are you kind of keeping some oversight of that, or is that the PUC that's doing that?
So ISO New England, but then there's a role for the department to play, and certainly feeds into our thinking and our initiatives and what we're doing in Vermont and how we plan. So
That's what we have a role. We have a couple of minutes, but I'm wondering if we can just,
want me to jump right to the
yeah, well, let's see.
punchline?
Why don't we come back?
What's being.
What? We don't, I forgot. No, so either you can hang out for like 20 minutes and we'll be back and we can finish up, or we can call you back another time. I'm sorry about this. This is
Okay.
part of our life we cannot control.
I'm just asking a question. Roll
Yeah.
call on what?
Oh, thank you.
I think it's the thing, the voyeurism bill that Ann Donnie had an amendment on.
Oh, yesterday.
So what's your preference? Would you like to hang out and then just finish up this
Yeah.
afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay,